So, hello friends. So, today we will start with chapter 9 Heat. Now, the one thing is that you rub your palms against each other. Basically, the palms are the front side of your hand. Rub them rigorously and put them on your cheek. Basically, you don't even need to put that on your cheek. You will start feeling warm. Okay, so as in the above pictures, you are seeing some examples of heat. So, one thing is how, as I'll bring it here, how does the solar heat reach the earth? Okay, why does the heat in the water heated to boiling slowly decrease once it's taken off the flame? Where did the heat go? The moisture in the air cools down to the ice cubes in glass and collects on the outside of glass. Okay, so basically we are going to learn everything that there is to know about heat. The one thing is transfer of heat. So, can you tell one question? Why does Halwai wrap the cloth around the end of his slotted spoon while stirring the boiling milk at in his large kadai? Now, it's not if there have been some large scale functions, then you might have seen that. But for those who are not aware, this is a very large kadai used by the halwai. Typically, it's a metal one and it has milk. Okay, now I can't paint white on white, so I guess we have to just with this only. So, this is the spoon through which he continuously rotates it so that to make some particular sweets. Okay, he always has a cloth there. Now, why? Basically, they will. It's written there. Why? Okay. 2. Why do we hold a steel glass and handkerchief while drinking hot milk from it? Okay, when you see some cases, what the explanation for both these two is, when we take a hot object in the vicinity of a cold one, the cold objects become warm and the hot object becomes cooler. So I think the statement is self-explanatory, but the basic thing is I did. You place one hot object, okay? You place one hot object, and you place one cold object. If they are placed together, both equalize to almost they try to equalize to equal temperature. So this, since it's hot, its temperature decreases. Since it's cold, its temperature increases, and both try to equalize the heat. Okay, so why do we wear woolen clothes in winter? Naturally, so that the heat of our body does not escape to the atmosphere. Okay, basically, human body temperature is constant at 37 degrees Celsius, but mostly this heat is dissipated into the atmosphere. So when we wear woolen clothes, the heat does not dissipates into the atmosphere, but stays within the woolen cloth. Okay, now this is really important thing. Modes of heat transfer: conduction, convection, and radiation. So first, this experiment deals with conduction. Okay, so what you do is basically you take a steel, you take 3 bars, you can take sticks as well, and they should be as same as possible. Okay, same size, same dimensions, but they should be different. One is made of stainless steel, one is made of copper, and one is made of aluminium. And what you do is, as you can see there, these are 3 metal strips, and you place wax with a constant distance. Mind it, the dimensions are same, the size is same, only the material is different, and you place wax there. Now what you do is take a burner and start heating it. Now just see when do these wax start to melt. Okay, or you have attached pins. As the wax melts, the pin will fall down. So what happens is, you observe pins start falling from the end near the burner. Okay, it means like this pin is the first to fall and not this one. Why? Or what we conclude from it rather, it means that the transfer of heat takes place from hot end to the cold end, naturally. So, what is it called? This transfer of heat from hot part of an object to the cold part is called conduction of heat. Okay, basically it's a hot end, this is a cold end, heat is transferred from there to there. This is called, oh, I don't need to write it. This is called conduction. Okay. Now one thing is, all the pins won't fall at the same time. Okay. So the pins on the copper bar start falling first. The pins on the steel bar fall comparatively late. Okay, it means that the heat is transferred more efficiently from copper to steel. So hence copper is a better conductor of heat. Okay. So now that was conduction. Now the second experiment shows a second way, convection. It's basically conduction. In a nutshell, you can say it is for solid, and convection is for liquid and gas. Okay. And radiation is technically it's valid in all three, but it's mainly for vacuum. Okay. Now in a liquid, as you see, what you do is potassium permanganate has a typical color, and that color you can see as it moves. Okay. So apparatus, what we have, a beaker, potassium permanganate, a burner, water. What you do is take some water, put potassium permanganate in it, and then start to heat it. So now what will you observe? Basically this is what you will observe. Initially the permanganate crystals go up. Okay. And as they go up, some stay upwards while some start going down. This is what you will observe. If you have ever seen the making of a tea, this is what happens. You put some ginger in the water, and ginger sometimes comes up and it goes down, comes up, comes down, comes up, comes down. Basically anything which can be easily observed. But don't try this with sugar, it will dissolve and you cannot observe that clearly. Okay. What you will see? You will see streams of water going upwards and coming back to the bottom. Now due to potassium permanganate, it has a really good property that it gives a strong color. To be very easily, when heating begins, the water near the bottom becomes warm and its density increases. Naturally, since it makes basic sense that it will be hotter since it's near the flame and it will be colder. Now the density is higher. Okay. Oh, sorry, the density is lower. The density is reduced as heat increases. Okay. As a result, it moves upwards and is replaced by cold water coming from above. Okay. In this way, heat is transferred by means of current called convection currents. This is called convection. So we have seen two ways, conduction in solid and convection in liquids. Okay. So as I told you about, convection can occur in liquid and gaseous substances. It needs a medium. So one of the apparatus. Okay. In previous case we put the water here. Now what will happen if we change the source and place the water above? So this is the experiment we do. We take a burner, we have a test tube holder, and we hold a test tube such that the top is on the above side. Okay. Now when you heat it, the water here starts boiling. So as the water starts boiling, the density decreases. Now the water wants to go up, but it cannot go up since there's no water to replace it. So what happens is this part remains hot and this part continues to remain cool because there is no convection currents going on. Okay, because ideally what happened here was that this was the hot water, it was lighter, it went up. This was the cold water, it was heavier, it went down. But here the problem is the hot water will want to go up, but it cannot go up. It want to go down, but it cannot go down. Okay. So the third process is, this is mainly for radiation. This is basically what we do very often in summers, though nowadays we have heaters instead of the traditional fire sticks. So what we light a candle and stand it upright. Hold your hand on two sides at some distance from the candle. You will feel some warmth. Okay. Now one thing is that at least there is a millions of kilometers of distance between Earth and the Sun. There is no medium as such. The solid nature is not there. There is no liquid, there is no water or any other compound connecting ocean or any other ocean connecting Sun and Earth. The atmosphere gets over within a few thousand kilometers from the Earth. Okay, so basically there's nothing but plain vacuum. So the thing is, how does the heat and light of the sun reach us? So the process it reaches is called radiation. So as it is written, this is what explains basically what I have said, that there is no air. The definition is the transfer of heat that takes place in this way, that is in the absence of any medium. Without a medium is called radiation. The heat reaches us mainly by radiation. This is radiation because you are in physical contact and the sun's rays reach the earth through radiation. Now the thing is, every body that is at a temperature radiates heat. Even we humans, if you see us, we also radiate heat, but naturally we cannot see that. So what is this? These are the cameras. Now as I say, radiation takes place from many objects. Okay, a camera has been developed which uses these radiations to make our surroundings visible at night. This is called infrared camera. Basically what happens, a bit out of context I'll go, that every heated body gives a kind of radiation called infrared radiations. So what these cameras do is catch the infrared radiations and the display. For example, there is a color scheme that this part is hotter, red and orange indicate hotter parts, and blue indicates cooler, and green and yellow indicates blue indicates coolest and green and blue indicates cooler parts. So you can predict the shape, what is it. And some animals like snakes, they naturally have built-in infrared camera because they hunt mice. And mice, since they're mammals like us, they radiate heat at a particular temperature. So what can they do is, they can reduce, it appears a bit orange for them. So they can see this orange structure among the all blue one and they can catch their prey. So snakes have a kind of, if I'll say, built-in infrared camera. Okay. So I'm reading this. When heat rays fall on an object, okay, as heat rays fall on an object, let me take yellow for heat as it has been done. For an object, oh sorry, it's orange, but never mind. A part of it is absorbed and the part of it is reflected. Okay, the ability of a substance to absorb heat radiation depend on its color and also its intrinsic property. Okay, color is black is far more likely to absorb heat than to give up heat. Okay, you will learn about it in higher classes why. But for the time being, let's go with that. Basically, black is a really good absorber of heat and white is a really good reflector of heat. Okay. So now what we have, two aluminum, you have to take two aluminums of same size, two small glasses, water, thermometer, etc. Now what you do is, take two tins, okay, a bit too large diagram. Take two tins, okay, fill them, paint. Now what you, oh god, sorry. What you do is, tins are typically, let's take blue, though not typically blue in color. Take two aluminum tins, and what you do is, paint the other with black. Basically the whole surface will be black, okay, and then let it dry. Now what you do is, place a glass inside it, both will have a glass of water in them, and then keep them in the sun. Now what you will observe with the temperature is, this one will be hotter, okay. Now what is the reason? Because I said black is a really good absorber of heat. Now good and bad temperature of heat. Place a steel spoon, a copper strip or rod, a divider, a pen or a plastic ruler. Pour hot water into the beaker. Wait for a while, then touch the outer end. Okay, basically, okay, I won't tell you much about the observations you will get, but a basic idea is that anything metal, steel or copper will get warm, but anything plastic will not be affected by it. Remember, the water shouldn't be too hot, or things that are poor conductor of electricity will start to melt. Not maybe melt, but they will have some side effects. Okay. So when you complete that, substances are good conductor of heat, like in this case copper, okay, copper and steel, while some are bad conductors. Bad conductors, you have plastic, okay. Heat is easily conducted through a copper strip or pot, but not through plastic or wood, okay. Now this is one thing, we can hold a glass tumbler or china cup full of hot tea easily in our hand, but not a steel or copper cup if same tea is poured into it. Why? Because if a glass tumbler, if it faces the heat, it does not transfer the heat from one point to another. It stays the heat inside it. But when you take a copper or steel cup, they're basically really good conductors of heat. They transfer the heat directly and we feel it. Okay. Now coming to expansion of solid substance due to heat. Now what you do is, the experiment is basically take a metal ring and a ball, basically draw something it like this. It should be connected and mind it. The one thing you have to take care of, in normal cases, the ball must pass through it. Okay. Now what you do is, heat the ball. Okay, it's a ring, maybe. Point it, heat the ball. Now what happens is, after heating, the ball which was passing through easily does not pass through it. So basically, what happened? So the expansion happened due to heat. As you heat it, the substances tend to expand. So what is it? The above experiment tells us that metals expand on heating and contract on cooling. Okay, this is true for most of the solids. Solids expand due to heat and come back to original state if heat is removed. However, one thing, the extent to which different solids expand is different. That is actually dependent on how good a conductor it is. Copper is a really good conductor of heat, it expands really well with respect to heat. Though that becomes a disadvantage if you have to use copper in some conditions which take high temperatures. Okay. Steel spreads less so. And insulators, they don't react to heat. Now one thing is, you take a liquid. Now, water has water when cooled has anomalous properties, but it's not so when it comes to heat. So what you do is take a flask, fill it with water, and then heat it and observe the temperature. Okay. So now there is a generally these have a marking scales. So as the temperature increases, take the readings at what is the level of water and observe. One thing that can be explained is basically liquids. In liquids, the atoms are arranged a bit far from each other. Okay, so when you heat it, this is fire, which technically doesn't look like that, the distance increases between them increases. They move away from each other. Now, as they move away from each other, they typically take up more space. Hence, like solids, liquids to expand on heating and the volume increases. Thus is called expansion of liquids. Okay. Now as it is, why is mercury or alcohol used in thermometer? Because as you measure the temperature, these two expand, and since they're in a constrained space, they rise in a straight line and you can easily measure the temperature. Okay. Now when it comes to gas, it has a similar case of liquids. You give heat and the gas particles tend to stay away from each other, and then the gas to expands on heating. Okay, this is called expansion of gas. And as you decrease the temperature, volume of gas increases. This is called contraction of the gas. Basically, in liquids and gas, all is about as the intermolecular particles get heat, they get more energy, they tend to move away from each other, and then the volume increases. For example, let's take a case between a calm student as an excited student. An excited student does not stay at its same position for some time. It will move here, then it will move there, then it will move there. It is not at a particular point. Whereas a calm student will stay at a particular place for quite some time. So as you give energy to the molecules through heat, they tend to expand because the particles tend to rush, they tend to make space, they tend to go away. So hence the volume increases in liquids and gases. Now we come to thermos flask. Often in Hindi we call it thermos. Okay. So now thermos is actually used to keep tea, coffee, milk hot or a sharbat cold. So the structure is given in the next figure, which I'll go through it. It is a double walled flask. Double walled, it has two walls, one of metal, the other of plastic. Okay, no, two plastic walls, metal walls basically. It consists of two glass tubes, one inside the other, with the gap between them sealed. The surface of the tubes are made shiny by a silver coating. Okay, basically these are the two. This is what they're referring to, the two glass tubes with some space inside them. Okay, and the inside is silver. The air between the two tubes is removed to create a vacuum. Okay, now you placed, what you do is you make two layers and then the air is removed and it's a perfect vacuum. Okay, now there is a protective jar of metal or plastic outside the tubes. Okay, this is what is referring to as the protective jar. And to avoid clashes between the two, a sponge is placed. Okay, protection of flask, pieces of sponge or rubber are fixed between the outer jar and the flask. So the construction, what happens when a hot substance is placed inside the thermos flask, basically it tends to give out heat. It will want to give out heat as much as possible. the heat going on gets reflected due to the shiny surface. Okay, so the heat stays inside. Hence, heat is not radiated. Neither conduction nor convection of the heat occurs because of the vacuum. Radiation may still occur. But yeah, since there is no medium between them, conduction and convection do not occur. As a result, heat is not transferred to the outside cooler region and is retained inside for a long time. Okay, because the heat is being reflected, there's no convection, there's no radiation. Oh my, there's no conduction and no convection. Radiation is still there, and it stays hot on cool, whatever you want, for quite some time. But the problem is, still a little heat is lost from around the liquid and by a small amount of conduction through the glass. Therefore, hot substance does not remain hot after 2 to 3 hours. Basically, this glass still conducts. Though ideally it shouldn't conduct, but some small amount of conduction still takes place. Therefore, it does not remain at hot after 2 to 3 hours. Thank you.